arguments sa Philhealth. No, comment lang po kayo sa baba kung ano inyong masasabi sa kanilang argument po. Kasi yung pera ng Philhealth nagiging pera na ng gobyerno, kaya pakinggan natin, okay? Pero bago yan, please don't forget to subscribe, click my notification bell, click it, and press my subscription. Thank you.
A fund created by law for a special purpose, that it can be used for purposes other than what it's used for, what it's supposed to be used for completely. They cannot be touched. They cannot be touched. Correct? So why can't we treat funds derived from taxes for a special purpose in the same manner?
In this environment, more fiscally ruinous to the health of the
But
country.
that is the perception of the economic managers. I'm talking about a carve-out by law. Are the economic managers free from following this law? Do you agree with me that the language shall be used is mandatory? Yes. The moment you reach that ceiling, there is a mandate, shall be used. Your Honor, there is no command for the Philhealth to reach the ceiling projected actuarially. There is no such command. That is, we will agree to disagree agreeably. Mr. Solicitor General, you refer to the first proviso as meaning that the sin tax collections should go to the general fund and should be appropriated only through the GAA. Do I understand your argument correctly? Yes, Your Honor. In other words, from this first proviso, you conclude that Congress is given the discretion to determine the amounts to be appropriated for Philhealth, correct? Yes, Your Honor. I believe that belongs to the discretionary power of Congress. This is also your position when you rely on the last paragraph of Section 37, which says, it's there in the screen, the amount necessary to implement the provisions of this Act shall be included in the GAA and shall be appropriated under the DOH and national government subsidy to Philhealth. That, again, is basis for your position, correct? Yes, Your Honor, because of three key words. Necessary, shall be included in the GAA, and shall be appropriated by Congress. So, to summarize, based on EO 292, Section 10 and 37 of the UHCA, it is your position that since an appropriation under the GAA is necessary, there is no special fund to speak of, correct? Special fund as described in Section 29. Special fund in a general sense, Your Honor, as a policy guideline for Congress to consider when they determine the amount that they will give to Philhealth by way of subsidy. It's what we call a soft earmark. So to you, it is still Congress that determines the amount to be appropriated or whether any amount should be appropriated at all, correct? That's what Section 37 actually says, Your Honor. And that is where I have problems with your reasoning. Because your interpretation of these provisions totally destroys the mandates of the sin tax laws and the Universal Healthcare Act to deliver such funds to Philhealth for the specific purpose of implementing the Universal Healthcare. I'm telling you, that's my problem. I disagree, Your Honor. Yes, understood. But the basic principle of statutory construction is to harmonize, correct? Yes, Your Honor. To make laws consistent with other laws rather than having one considered repealed in favor of the other. Exactly, Your Honor. I'm showing you a slide. That is a quotation from the case of Philippine International Trading Corporation versus Commission on Audit. I underscore that portion. Thus, if diverse statutes relate to the same thing, they ought to be taken into consideration in construing any one of them, as it is an established rule of law that all acts in pari materia are to be taken together as if they were one law. Yes, Your Honor, in pari materia. So on the basis of this principle, I'm sharing my thoughts with you. I see sections 10 and 37, which you rely on, as provisions merely to trigger or regulate the tax collections directly to Philhealth. That's my take. I go to you, Mr. Marino. Let's go through the flow of money. After the taxes are levied, the BIR and the BOC remit the money to the National Treasury, correct?
That is correct.
And the National Treasury then puts it in the general fund, not even a SAG-F.
That is correct.
According to the 2023 Syntax Annual Report, it's there. 178.34 billion was earmarked for Philhealth. Correct?
It's 83, Your Honor, if I'm reading the slide.
Now 178.34 for health.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Of that 178.34, the specific allocation for the premium subsidies for indirect contributors of Philhealth is 83.90 billion. Do you confirm?
Yes, Your Honor.
However, despite being allocated 83.90 billion in syntaxes, the subsidy, which represents the premium payments for indirect contributors, amounts only to 79 billion, according to that. Agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
I call your attention now to the 2024 Syntax Annual Report. It was reported that 79 billion of syntaxes collected in 2022 was earmarked for Philhealth. However, only 40.3 billion subsidy for the NHIP was reflected in the 2024 GAA. This means that around 39 billion of syntax collections was not given to Philhealth, correct?
Yes, under the GAA. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So just to clarify, the figures you just saw in 2023 Syntax Annual Report refer to collections from syntax in 2021, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And the figures in 2024 Syntax Annual Report refer to collections from syntaxes in 2022, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And these syntax annual reports are based on the certifications issued by the BIR and the BOC on the total amounts collected from syntaxes, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
I'm showing you in the next 5 slides examples of the BIR and BOC certifications. These were submitted in your submissions.
Looks like we need a new sofa.
Ayan.
Time for some upgrades.
Ang problema ngayon, kasi pinipilit talaga nila na yung pera daw na nakapundo ay kailangan gamitin ng gobyerno. Alam naman nila na ang pera na yan na nakapundo ay nakalaan yan para sa health ng mga tao. O, bakit sinasabi ni Recto na karapatan daw ng gobyerno na gamitin ang perang nakapundo? Saan nyo gagamitin? Alam niyo naman yan ay para sa health, hindi para sa infrastructure. Kung kukunin nyo yan, so ibabalik nyo yan. Kasi if in case na walang pundo ang Philhealth at maubusan ng pera, saan sila kukuha? Kaya yan ang argumento ngayon na ipinaglalaban natin sa korte na ang pera ng mga tao, ng mga contributors sa Philhealth ay dapat talagang maibalik sa Philhealth. Kasi yan ay para sa ating health. Pag ikaw, katulad sa akin, na hospital ako dati, 127,000 pesos yung aking bayarin. Magkano lang naman ang kinuha ng Philhealth kasi private nga? Kalahati, 50%. Ba yun? Hindi. 20% lang. 20% lang. So, may kulang pa ako na bayaran sa hospital na worth 57,000 pesos. At yun naman ay hininga namin ng tulong sa gobyerno kasi that time si PRRD pa ang presidente. Kaya malaki ang aking nakuha. So, hindi ko na nabayaran yung 57,000 na yon. So, dapat natin talaga na huwag itolerate itong sa gobyerno na saan ay kinukumkum o kinakamkam lahat ng pera natin, pati na bayad tayo ng bayad ng Philhealth natin, tapos pag na-hospital tayo, hindi man lang ma-recover lahat ng bayaran natin kapag hindi ka sa gobyerno, 'di ba? Dapat sa government at sa private I mean, dapat mas malaki ang makukuha o mababawas sa mga bayaran natin. So mamaya guys, babalik tayo ha sa argumentong ito kasi ito yung hindi natin ito talaga tatantanan hanggang hindi napapanagot itong si Romualdez at saka si BBM dito at saka mga kongreso dahil zinero nila ang ating budget sa PhilHealth. So, bye-bye!
Muna sa syntaxes